This is Troop 566 Coleman 3-burner liquid fuel stove tutorial, and this is part 1 of it, which is the overview. The Coleman 3-burner liquid stove has been made for many years. It is an excellent car camping stove for families and scout patrols. Several of these stoves can be used for large groups of several dozen. It retailed in 2009 for $148. Non-profit groups may contact Coleman for a possible discount or ability to buy a cosmetically defective unit or a returned item at a discount. Every few years, Coleman makes slight modifications to this model. The stove will last almost indefinitely, even with heavy use, if you take care of it, clean it after each trip, and store it in a dry location. Coleman offers replacement parts for the last several generations. The stove will operate about 2 hours at full power, allowing you to cook almost any meal on a single tank of fuel. This stove is only for outside use, as it consumes oxygen. It cannot be used in a tent or any other enclosed space. This video series is also helpful for the little brother of the stove, which is the Coleman 2-burner liquid stove. In these videos, we refer to the main burner here as the center burner. Consider whichever burner in the 2-burner stove which has the generator rod passing through it as the main or center burner, and almost all of this video will apply to that model stove as well. This stove is ideally operated on Coleman liquid fuel, which is in this can over here. This is available in 1-gallon metal cans from many sources such as camping stores, hardware stores, grocery stores, department stores, and variety drug stores. Coleman fuel is white gas, which means it is pure gas without any chemical additives found in automotive gasoline. It seems to last longer and not go stale in storage as compared to other fuels. Newer model versions of the stove labeled dual fuel may be operated on unleaded automobile gasoline. This, however, will shorten the life of the stove's generator. Troop 566 uses only Coleman liquid fuel. This stove is controlled by a single knob that controls the power to all 3 burners. Both side burners have a control valve, but these are basically an on or off valve. The stove's center burner is the most powerful one. It can produce 10 to 25,000 BTUs depending on the model and how many of the side burners are in use. Each of the 2 side burners are fixed at 5,500 to 6,000 BTUs. The use of the side burners takes away from the maximum power of the center burner. Troop 566 moved away from 2-burner propane stoves for several reasons. We wanted a 3rd burner that we have here so we could cook more complex meals. We found that the 2-burner propane stoves did not have sufficient heat to boil large pots of water, partly because they are limited by the amount of propane fuel that can be delivered by a standard 1-pound propane canister. The 1-pound canisters did not last through complex meals and had trouble at low temperatures, snow, and other winter trips, and often froze up in maximum use, and we were always left with partial canisters to dispose of. We considered using the 5-gallon bulk propane containers, but were concerned with the size. Compare taking 8 5-gallon fuel cells to 3 gallons of Coleman liquid fuel gas, and as well of the explosive potential of 40 gallons of propane when in storage. They now make mid-sized refillable canisters. On the downside, it is the higher risk of coming in contact with the fuel. All camping stoves carry a risk in the fuel source. In the case of Coleman liquid fuel, the biggest concern is the accidental ignition of the fuel reserves. This can cause an explosion or severe burns, resulting in deaths of one or many. The Coleman fuel tank itself is designed to limit this risk once the fuel is inside it. The risk comes mostly from the transport and filling from bulk gasoline containers. If you can smell gasoline, you are in the range of the ignition. Adult supervision, knowledge, respect, and discipline are key in keeping everyone safe. These are the 11 Coleman warnings that they give about these stoves. Gasoline and Coleman fuel are extremely flammable, and handle them with care. Fuel vapors are invisible, explosive, and can be ignited by ignition sources many feet away. 2. These stoves are designed to use Coleman fuel or unleaded gasoline. Never use kerosene or leaded automotive fuel. 3. Store fuel in a clean, properly marked container away from flame, including pilot lights, other sources of ignition, or excessive heat. 4. Always fill the fuel tank outdoors. Never fill it or loosen or remove the fuel cap while the tank is attached to the stove, near flames, or other ignition sources. Never remove the tank while the stove is burning. 5. Always light and use the stove outdoors, never inside a house, a camper, a tent, or other unventilated or unclosed areas. 6. These stoves consume air or oxygen. Do not use in unventilated or enclosed areas to avoid endangering your life. 7. Use the stove for cooking only. Never alter it in any way or use with any device or part not expressly approved by Coleman. 8. Never use the stove as a space heater, and never leave the stove unattended while burning. 9. Keep the stove away from flammables. Never allow fabric, clothing, or any flammable materials to come within 4 feet of the top and 1 foot of the sides of the stove. 10. Clean the stove frequently to avoid grease accumulations and possible grease fires. And 11 is keep out of reach of children. Visit the link in the sidebar for these directions.